Hello everyone and welcome to my very next deck profile on the new Galaxy Photon Dragon deck. I don't really know what this is called, like a Galaxy Photon deck, I suppose. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. So first things first, I do want to briefly talk about this deck. Now that we ended up getting the new box, the Photon of Galaxy if I remember, we have access to a lot of the really good Photon cards in the game. However, we still don't have all of the Photon cards. This deck could actually become even better over time. We just kind of have to wait and see what cards Konami is willing to give us for this game. Because what we have so far is actually really good. And I would say that it's actually a pretty good deck, if you want to invest into it. But there are issues to this as well. And I do want to get into that at the end of the deck profile because I want to talk about each card first. So let's go ahead and get started here with this deck profile. To start off with, let's talk about the skill. We are playing the one skill that right now is relevant with Kite, and that is the Galaxy Photon skill. The other one is shifting up. This card could actually be pretty good later in the future. But for now, we're going to be playing with the Galaxy Photon skill. And it is just a level up reward that you can get from leveling up Kite. And what it does is that you can return one Galaxy Photon monster or Galaxy monster from your hand to the deck to then add a Galaxy or a Photon spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only activate this once per duel, and you are also only need to have light monsters in your main deck and extra deck to use this skill. And this is going to be very important for a lot of reasons. There's a good and a bad thing for this. The first good thing is that it will make your combos very consistent. Well, I wouldn't say your combo very consistent. You'll get your turn 1 or turn 2 plays very consistently. You're always gonna essentially open a Vanish spell, or you're always going to open a Spell Destruction, or Spell Trap Destruction, I should say. But the big issue with this skill is that it locks you from using anything but light monsters. And that is actually a huge deal. It's a lot better than Territorial the Shark locking you into water. Because, at least for the light, you can have different hand traps. Like you can have the Arcana Force that negate some battle damage. Or you can have Lancia in your deck if you really want that. So this deck does have some wiggle room on those. But being locked out of your lights, or just into lights, plays a big part in your extra deck. And we're going to talk about that now that we're going to talk about the deck profile. Because only being locked into light extra deck monsters simply isn't the best. Because we actually don't have that many good rank 4 monsters that you can actually go to. Except for like 2 to 3, But mostly we don't really care too much about this. Nearly, I would say. Because you're only going to do like the one combo. Like I will explain that once we get to the combos of the deck. But just to let you guys know, Galaxy Photon is a skill that is probably the best to play with Kite at the current moment. So, let's talk about the deck profile and the reasoning why I have each card here. So, first thing first, we are playing a single copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. What does this card do? Well, you can actually special summon him by by tributing two monsters on the field with 2,000 or more attack. There we go. And then during either player's turn, when somebody attack, when this card is essentially part of an attack, you get to banish him and the monster for the turn. And if you banish an Exceed monster, you get to add 500 attack for every material they had attached to him into Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So this card is not the strongest of cards, I'll be honest. It is not the strongest of cards, especially in the TCG. People only play one copy in their deck, and because it's a very searchable card and you only really want to use him so you can rank into your rank 8. There we go. However, here in Duel Links, he is actually a very essential part of controlling the board because it allows you to activate a card like Photon Stream of Destruction. Well, we'll talk about once we get to that section. But Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, the reason why we don't play multiples, like say Blue Eyes, we play 3 Blue Eyes, is because there really isn't many ways you can utilize Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon at the current moment. There aren't that many cards that actually summon him, except for, Starlight Lord Galaxian, we will talk about once we get to that point as well. but mainly because you also don't want to brick with this guy. He is a brick, and I've seen deck profiles that play 2 or even 3 copies of him, but honestly, 2 copies, I think it's just a little too bricky. I really hate to say it because this deck relies heavily on his opening hand to win games. So I drop it down to a single copy, so even if I open with it, I hope the rest of my hand isn't nearly as bad. But you can actually brick with this card, so that's why you have it at once, so you don't see it nearly as often as other cards. But he is an essential part of the combo, especially on the end boards. Next, let's go ahead and talk about Photon Thrasher. So Photon Thrasher is a 3-off here in this deck. You can honestly play this ratio at like 2 if you wanted to. It's not essential to have 3 because you can also brick on this card. Like, I'll be honest, this deck bricks very strangely. Not because you don't have like monsters, but you just don't have like any playables. It's kind of strange, but we'll talk about that once we get to that portion of the video. But I do play the triple Thrasher just because I want to special summon him. You know, he is a special summon when you control no monsters on the field. And then his secondary effect is that if you control another monster, he cannot attack, which is whatever. You're mostly going to use him for XC material. So he's only really here because he's a Photon card and he could be special summoned. Next, we are playing Photon Advancer, which has a really neat effect that if you control a Photon monster, you can special summon this card. And if you control a Photon monster, it gains 1000 attack. So really good stuff because he will be a 2K if you have a Galaxy Eyes on the field as well. So it's really neat. And the good thing about this card is that he could also be normal summoned. And like I said, I'm going to explain that a little bit later, but just note that a lot of these cards, like Photon Thrasher, can only be special summoned when you control no monsters, and even like Photon Vanisher can only be special summoned when you control a Photon monster. I mean, same with this guy, but he could actually be normal summoned, and that's very important to note for this deck. Next, let's talk about Photon Vanishers. This is probably the best of the level 4 monsters you can possibly have in your deck. I played 3 just for consistency, but I've seen other builds play 2. Like, you can do 2, it's totally fine. But I do like the 3rd. But what did this guy do? Well, like I mentioned before, he can only be special summoned if you control another Photon card on the field. Or Photon monster or Galaxy monster, my bad. He cannot attack the turn he is summoned, so don't rely on him, doing any damage. And he also has a really neat effect that if this card is special summoned, you get to add a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand. That is actually really good because it essentially is the only card in your deck that gives you a +1 essential. So you summon him, you get to search a Photon Dragon, and through your skill, you're able to search your spells. So really good card. We'll get to the combo once we get to that portion of the video, but again, being able to add a card, at the very least Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, is a really neat effect. And then his final effect is that if this guy is used as an X material to summon a card, an X monster, the X monster gains the effect that it can banish any monster destroyed by battle. So it's pretty good as well. Gives the monster a banishing effect, which can come up every once in a while. But again, you mostly want to play this guy because he's a level 4 Photon and he could search Galaxy Eyes. So really good stuff. Next, we are playing a double Photon Lizard. So Photon Lizard here is a very neat card. I was debating between playing Photon Lizard or Photon Crusher. Crusher is another Photon card. Let me see if I could. So yeah, like I was saying, Photon Crusher is another neat card. There he is. That he just a 2000 beater that if he attacked, you change it to defense position. So honestly, this card could become Photon. What's it called? What's his name again? There, Crusher. There we go. Simply because they both kind of serve a similar purpose as just being a normal summon monster. For the most part, Photon Lizard just gonna serve to search your other card, whatever you need. I have it at 2 because I want to be able to either see Photon Lizard or Photon Vanisher in my opening hand. That way I'm able to like summon Lizard to search for like Thrasher and then get my Vanisher's special summon effect. But you can also, like I was mentioning, you can easily play this deck on a budget. Like, you don't really need to play a like triple Trash, triple Vanisher, or even triple Lizard. Like, you can play triple Photon Crusher with your triple Photon Advancer and like 2 copies of Thrasher and like 2 copies of Vanisher and like no copies of Lizard if you don't want to. Like, this deck is very versatile on the deck building, so you're probably gonna see a lot of different variations because that all depending on the player, like the one who's piloting the deck. What do they prefer? What kind of cards do they value over others? But anyways, that was just a bit of a rant there. But let's go ahead and talk about what Photon Lizards do. So when you normal summon Photon, no, you contribute Photon Lizards on the field to then add a level 4 or lower Photon monster from your deck to your hand. And you can only use this effect once per turn, you know, you're probably only gonna ever use it once anyways. But really good, so that way you're able to unbrick your hands in case you drew too many, like too many spells, or you only open a list on like one of your other Photon cards. Like, he's just here in order to search whatever you want. Mostly, I want to be able to end the field with a Photon Vanisher, just so I can search the Photon Galaxy, which is why I put the 2 copies, essentially giving me 5 copies of Photon Vanisher. But if I already open Vanisher, I could easily search either Advancer. Sorry, I could easily search Thrasher instead. But no, yeah, like, he's really only here just for that reason. He's pretty neat. Like I said, you don't have to play him. You could easily play Photon Crusher instead. I just like him for the consistency. And for my final monster card I have in the deck, it's actually an interesting one. It's called Photon Cerebus, and he has the effect that during the turn discard with normal summon, neither player can activate trap cards while this card face up on the field. So the big issue with the Galaxy deck, I wouldn't say it's a huge issue, but being able to play around a lot of back row is a little bit tough. And I noticed that I've been playing against a lot of those decks more recently than any other deck. So I decided to add in the Photon Cerebus for the meantime. It's been working out quite nicely as a normal summon, as a one-up normal summon against those trap heavy decks. Essentially making all of their Karma Cut, all their Raigeki break, especially in the Blue Eyes matchup. If they set like 2 and I only have access to 1 Galaxy Cyclone, I could just normal summon the Cerebus if I open with it, and then all the traps are dead at that point. Like, they can't do anything to the rest of my plays if I open up 2 extenders, whether that'll be Photon Advancer or even Vanisher in the hand. I could even bait out with Photon Thrasher, just summon him and then normal summon this guy. So yeah, it's actually really good. It works well against, like I mentioned, the Blue Eyes matchup, and even the Desperado matchup works pretty well. And sometimes it works well against the Noble Knight matchup. But in any case, that's it for the main monsters. Let's go ahead and talk about the spells now. Spells and traps, I should say, because I only played the one single trap. So the first spell here is going to be called Photon Stream of Destruction. This card essentially makes it so if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you get to target 1 card in the field and then banish that target. And you can only activate this card during your turn unless you control Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. At the current moment, there's only 1 Galaxy Eyes monster, and that is the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So this card essentially is a quick play, banish 1 card as long as you control Galaxy Eyes. Really good card. And I would love to play this card at 3, but the issue that I have with it is that it breaks you so much. It is so hard to like play multiple spells and traps in this deck, to be honest. Like, I've been having such a hard time figuring out like that golden ratio, like that golden point where you feel comfortable with the number of monsters versus the number of spell and traps. Because this deck wants to open at the very minimum 2 monsters that are like not the same name. Unless you're talking about Photon Advancer. And not open like multiple spell and traps. Like, if you open 2 spell and traps, you better pray you have like a Photon Thrasher and like a different name Photon card in your hand as well. Because that is probably the biggest issue with this deck. It just bricks a lot, and I hate it. Like, it's really bad. But what it can do is really good. Like, it's actually really nice. But I only have to do copies, mainly because playing 1 I think is a little weak. So playing 2 I think is the right ratio, because 3 would just break it too much, to be honest. Like, it's really sad to say, but I do think 2 copies is a good ratio. And you know, you could play however many you want in your build. Like I mentioned, people like to work with a lot of different ratios for this deck. Like, I don't think nobody has found the right way to build a deck just yet. But in my opinion, I think 2 Photon Stream of Destruction is the right ratio. Powerful card, but you just don't want to break with it. Next, I do play Double Book of Moon. This card could easily be replaced with any other card. Like Forbidden Lands could be a good card. Even Chalice could be a good card. Or even Forbidden... No, sorry, not Forbidden Lands. What's the word? What's that other one card called again? Oh my gosh. I'm wiping out. I forgot the other card name, but... Like, there could be a lot of replacement for Book of Moon. Oh, Cosmic Cyclone. That's what it was. Simply because... The reason why I'm playing Book of Moon, actually... It's because it counters a lot of fields at the moment. Like, actually, Book of Moon is such a good turn 1 opening if you're going second. Because a lot of the times right now, people are ending on like a Photon Thrasher. Not Thrasher. What's that card called again? Like the This guy right here, yeah, the Photon Strike Bouncer, yeah. A lot of people are ending on this card, which essentially could kill your combo if it gets a negate off. So in order to prevent that, you will want to Bukamoon the card and not have to play around that. It could also bait out other cards. Well, I wouldn't say bait out more or less, but I guess Noble Knights, you could Bukamoon their XC monster or bait out something else. Like, you can do all sorts of things. It did not open Merlin. And it also prevents Shark players from disrupting your plays. If they summon a Abyss Dweller with like a pop, you get to just Bukamoon it and they are forced to activate their pops or like not activate Abyss Dweller at all. So it's really, really good against a lot of decks right now. Very, very powerful card. If I could play 3, I would play 3. It's just the deck is so tight, honestly. It really is. Like, I wish I could play more monsters. I wish I could spell more spell on traps. It's such a hard ratio to kind of figure out. But I think 2, at the very least right now, is working out for me. Next, I do play double Galaxy Cyclone. Realistically, you only ever need 1. But having the 2 just gives me the option to have a search in case I did open another one Galaxy in hand and I'm going second and I want to search a second one. Very strong, just spell removal. Very good stuff. I'm sure a lot of people know already. It destroys one set card on the field. And then you can manage it from the graveyard to destroy a Pesa spell or trap card. Not the turn it got sent to the graveyard, the following turn. So just very good removal. And again, the reason you play it because it is searchable through your Galaxy Photon skill. And the final card here, my tech for this deck, is called the Halfway to Forever. So what does this card do? You can target 2 monsters in your graveyard and then you can special summon them, both of them. But then they have the effect negated, whatever. But if you do, you can immediately after this card's resolve, XYZ summon one Light Utopia or Utopic XYZ monster using only those 2 monsters. And at the current time, you only have 1 target, and that is your boy Utopia. And the reason why I'm playing this card is because this Galaxy deck doesn't have any play beyond your turn 1 play. You are heavily reliant on winning the game in your opening hand. You are so reliant on it. And it is very easy, I would say, to kind of stop other Galaxy decks. Because, for example, say I'm going second and I open Bukamoon. I could just Bukamoon their Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon and they lose access to their spells. Like, they just can't activate any vanishing effects. And voila, I'm able to do whatever I want and OTK them. Or if I'm playing against another deck like Desperado or any other deck that has any sort of like Sphere Karibo or Kiteroid, essentially that delay could make them come back into the game because your recovery is absolutely dismissal. Like, it is so garbage to play any further than 1 turn. So the reason why Halfway to Forever is here, it's to ensure you at least have a follow-up turn as long as you're able to draw into this card, because going into Utopia, it's not half bad, you know, it really isn't. Especially if you get low on light points and ended up going into Utopia Ray for that OTK, regardless. So essentially, it's a plan B, you can say, for the deck. That if it doesn't, I mean, if you doesn't work out, doesn't matter. You'll most likely already OTK your opponent because the damage you could put on the field with this deck is exactly 5,000. So this card is really only here just for that reason, just for the instances where you run into those Fear Karibos, those Kiteroids. Like, it is so annoying to run into those, or they manage to stop your play some way or another without you having enough disruption. This is just a follow-up essentially to your play, because you can actually make Utopia and hopefully make Utopia Ray to OTK your opponent on the following turn you activated this card, or on that same turn, whenever it happens, you know. Or it could surprise be a OTK too, you know, your opponent doesn't think you have the OTK. You're like, okay, Halfway to Forever, I have the OTK now. So it's pretty funny stuff. But I do have it just for that reason. This could easily be replaced by anything else, or just be deleted so you can add like an additional Photon Crusher into the deck or something. Like, this card is actually not half bad. It's pretty good, because it also ensures you having exactly 4k damage in case you need to use your Photon Galaxy Dragon's effect to banish a card. So yeah, that's just it for the main deck. Hopefully that made sense. So now let's talk about the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I play a single copy of Starlich Lord Galaxion, This card, very, very good card. Definitely your main combo piece and the card you're gonna end on the field alongside your Photon, your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. It requires 2 Photon monsters, and because we control nothing but Photon monsters, it shouldn't be a problem. But it has the effect that you can detach 1 or 2 extra materials to do 1 or 2 effects. You either, if you detach 1, special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand, or if you detach 2, you can just special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the deck. This card, very powerful. Essentially makes your plays go. It essentially makes Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon come to the field, which is what you want to do. So then, Photon Stream of Destruction could be live during your opponent's turn, or even that same turn. I only ever play the 1, even though we have 2 copies in Duel Links, mainly because I'm only playing 1 Photon Dragon. If they get rid of this card, then I guess I just lose, because there's no way I'm gonna make a second one. There's no way I'm able to recover the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So there's no reason to play anything more than just a single copy, because you're never gonna go into 2 copies in any of your duels. Like, unless something weird ends up happening, which might be like a 0.01% chance of something like that to happen, you're ever only gonna make 1 Starlish Galaxion. But no, yeah, that he's only here just to summon Galaxy Photon Dragon, really. Next, we do play a single copy of Starlish Paladynamo, because he is a very good light XC monster that could negate your opponent's monster, change your attack to 0, and if this card gets destroyed, you get to draw a card. Very, very good card, to be honest. Just a single copy is totally fine. If you don't have it, you know, there's plenty of other rank 4 light monsters you can play. I am playing the Utopia package here with number 39 Utopia and number C39 Utopia Ray. For, like I was mentioning when I was talking about Halfway to Forever, so I could have the little combo where I could go Utopia into Ray and hope to OTK, because this card with his effect could actually OTK quite easy if your opponent has like a blue eyes on the field. It's pretty nice. I actually really like this card a lot. So yeah, I've only ever gotten the OTK off once and that was a really fun duel. But yeah, I just have the package here because it's doable and you can sometimes just cheese a win like that. Next, I play a single copy of Bujin Tsukuyomi. I made this guy a couple times, but that was mostly because I had very awkward hands. Mainly if I say open a Galaxy Dragon with like maybe a, I don't know, like Cerebus and like 2 cards. I really don't know how I made it, but I know I made it while I had an awkward hand. But just being able to go into him and draw 2 cards, potentially get a Book of Moon is okay at times. You never really go into him. I just managed to go into him a few times. He's just here to draw cards, really. Like, he doesn't really serve much of a purpose. He's a light target that you can go into and sometimes be useful. Next, we do play a single copy of Photon Populo Operative. Not the greatest of cards either. You could detach a card though to change the defense position monster to face up attack, and then they lose 600 attack. So if you manage to get that off, you can probably win the game at that point. So she's only here because of that reason, nothing else. She's just a light XC monster. Like I was mentioning, a lot of these XC light monsters are not very good. Like outside of Galaxion, none of these are like important at all. I mean, because I do play Halfway to Forever, you know, I do need to play the Utopia, of course. So that's important enough, I suppose. But the main card you really want to play is Galaxion. And for the final card, we do play a single copy of Constellar Omega. Now, this card is really, really good. I was already playing this card in some of my stick and chair decks. Mainly because having the ability to have all your Constellar be unaffected by spell and traps is very strong right now. If your opponent set up a bunch of back row, and then they let you play your turn, like say you don't have any way to grab another cyclone, or you don't have a way to, you know, essentially get a cyclone because otherwise you lose the game. Maybe you open like a Photon Thrasher with an Advancer with double Book of Moon, for example, and then you open a Photon Stream of Destruction. You're like, and your opponent says like 3 cards. You're like, wow, I don't know what to do against this board. I know if I return a card back, I don't get a combo anyway, so I might as well do the combo now. Then if they let you play your duel, like Special Summon Thrasher, Special Summon Advancer, and they don't activate anything because they're waiting on you, you can just summon a copy of Constellar Omega, and then all their back row become useless essentially. They'll have to use multiple to just get rid of a single copy of them, and that's, in my opinion, very powerful. Being able to play around those pesky back row without the repercussion of falling into the trap. Yeah. So this card is actually very strong for that reason. I made him a few times just for that situation because there's a lot of people playing back right now, which is why I'm playing, the Photon service to begin with. But this could easily be a Photon Crusher. Like I'm saying, Crusher is a pretty good card. You can easily just splash into this deck if you need any more normal summons. Alright, so that's it for the deck profile. So now I do want to quickly talk a little bit before we get into the duels, because it is tradition in my channel that after I showcase the deck profile, I'll take this to against 5 random duels online. But I do want to quickly talk about the strengths and weaknesses and the future of this deck. So first thing first, the strengths of this deck. I do want to start off on a banger because this deck is hella fun. Like this deck has been some of the funnest I had in Duel Links for a while now. Because the combo is simple. You have good disruption. You have a killer turn, like going first or going second. And you can OTK with the deck. Like, I'm not a big fan of OTK decks. I'm a big fan of, like, I wouldn't say control decks, but I wouldn't say aggro decks either. Like, I love all sorts of decks. I could do combo, I could do aggro, I could do control. But I do think I'm a little bit more on the control side of things. Just because I like that interaction between back and forth. But in any case, back to the good thing. This deck could OTK very easy. And it has a lot of power plays. Well, it has one power play, let's put it that way. And that is summoning Lord Galaxian with your Photon Dragon on the field with a copy of Stream of Destruction at the bare minimum. Or if you go in second, you could get a Galactic Cyclone to pop your opponent card and OTK your opponent that way. But in any case, yeah, so this deck, very fun. And very easy to build also. If you're able to farm through the kite event, you can easily build this deck on a budget, I would say. It's not a free-to-play deck because the only free-to-play cards that you're going to be using are the Photon Stream of Destruction, which is a free level up reward, and Photon Advancer, which could be farmable through the kite event. So if you farm through that, you can easily build this deck. Especially if you go through that Photon of Galactic box, you should be able to get everything you need here. Even if you don't pull triple Thrasher or triple Vanisher, you should still be able to build a deck with, like, say for example, double Thrasher, double Vanisher, double Lizard, and then for the remainder 2 copies, you can just add 2 copies of Photon Crusher. That's perfectly fine. That's actually pretty damn good, to be honest. I mean, the only issue is that, yeah, you'll be conflicting with some normal summonings here. But regardless, that's still a very, very powerful deck engine because you will most likely, if you go through the box, I will say I have 2 copies of both Thrasher, Vanisher, and Photon Lizard. So yeah, this deck is easy to build because also the extra deck, you only ever go into Lord Galaxian like 100% of your games. You always want to go on this guy first. And then after that first turn, you most likely won't have enough resources to go into any more X seeds. So it really could be anything. Like, apart from Galaxian, every other XC card could be whatever you want. You could even put triple Mega, triple Popular Operative and be totally fine with the deck, to be honest. I mean, I do play Utopia here package because that's strong with the halfway to forever because you don't need to play this, like the whole deck is very versatile at how you can build it and what it can do. Well, not what it can do, how you can build it. That's it. So that's definitely the strengths of this deck. Easy to build, easy to learn, very powerful turn 1, very powerful turn 2. It could OTK, and that's pretty much about it. So let's talk about the weaknesses of the deck. I did allude it multiple times. The deck breaks like no other. And you wouldn't really think about it because all these cards just on their own, you're like, oh, special summon from the hand if I control no monsters. Oh, special summon if I control a Photon. Oh, special summon if I control a Photon. Oh, searches any Photon I want. Like, how am I supposed to break with this deck? It's very interesting because the way you can break with this deck are 2 ways. First, you don't draw the right monsters. There are times in this game when I'm playing through games where I just couldn't draw the right monsters at all. Like, they just weren't part of my opening hand. For example, say I was playing through the match and I open my hand with like a Photon Dragon and a Photon Vanisher, and then like say Stream of Destruction with a Book of Moon. That doesn't get me anything. It gets me nothing. It is not a play I can do going first. Going second, I have to rely on getting a Thrasher or an Advanced to do anything. And there are other times where maybe I have a maybe a lizard with, I don't know, Photon Dragon or something. Like, usually you don't break too often, but sometimes you open like doubles. Like, you open like double Thrasher, that's really bad. You open double Photon Vanisher, that's really bad too, because you cannot summon either of these guys. Opening double Photon Vanisher is not bad, but it's also not optimal, because then you have to normal summon him, then special summon him, and you essentially use those two monsters to rank into the Galaxian, and you don't get your plus. And the only card that really gives you that +1 is Photon Vanisher, which is also another big weakness. The consistency of the deck, well, the card economy of the deck is not there. If you lose your board, you lose the game. If they're able to deal with your Photon Dragon with like a Book of Moon, you are almost essentially always gonna lose the game at that point, because if you can keep Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon on the field, you could win the game. But that is a hard task to say. That is a very difficult thing to accomplish, because there's so many cards that could deal with it. There's other boss monsters that can deal with it. There's a bunch of trap cards that can deal with it. Like, a lot of players, if they cannot deal with the Photon Dragon right away, they'll say like a Karma Cut, pass, and then on like the draw phase, they'll activate the Karma Cut to get rid of the Photon Dragon right away. So it's very, 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 very sad to say that Photon Dragon, while it's your boss monster and the card you want to have on the field at all times, is an easy target for your opponent to say, okay, that's his win condition. If I could get rid of this card, I'll win the game. And you could play two Photon Dragons for the instance, you know, one of them gets dealt with, but then you go into the issue where you can break with them even more. And with the same example, you could open like a Vanisher and a Photon Dragon, and you'd be like, wow, this is useless. You could open a Thrasher with a Photon Dragon, like, this is useless. There's so many ways you can break with the monsters, and it's really, really bad. And then the second one is the spells, also breaking with them. Unless you play the deck, you would not be able to like actually sympathize with this. But you want to play so many power spells. You want to play so many power cards. But once you start playing a lot of them, you'll start realizing how much they break. You open any more than 2 of this, it's game over. You open 3 spell traps, it's game over. You can't do anything. You open like 1 spell, you have like no interruption. It could be a Galaxy, you know, you'd be like, wow, this is useless. You know, you have to open the right ones. Like, if you open a Photon Stream of Destruction, like a Galaxy Cyclone, you know, you can open like double Vanisher. You're like, wow, this hand is useless. And, you know, opening like multiple Photon Stream of Destruction is also useless unless you have a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon on the field. So yeah, like, a lot of these cards are so dependent on ending with Photon Dragon or opening the right hand. Like, opening, I wouldn't say the God hand, but opening the right monsters, because you don't want to open multiple. You don't want to open Galaxy Eye with another monster. You don't want to open like your Photon Servant with like a Thrasher. That accomplishes nothing. So yeah, it is a very sad tale for this deck, because it does have that issue. And also the recovery, you know, the recovery is awful, like I mentioned before. If they deal with your board, you're dead. That's done. You GG, move on to the next game. Which is why I also have, you know, Have It to Forever that could potentially achieve some wins with this card. But no, in any case, that is really the weakness of the deck. But there's also a big benefit to investing into this deck, which is going to be the next topic. The future of Photon decks. This archetype still has a lot of cards that haven't been released on Duel Links, you know. We have Galaxy Soldier, for example, and all their Xyz monsters that are still available to come into Duel Links. And that's going to be very, very powerful by the time those come out, because this deck could become a very consistent, very powerful, very good deck, because there's just so many good Galaxy cards out there. And by the time we get those, I do think this deck could potentially be a top tier contender, or at the very least a rogue deck, because right now it's mostly a do or die, you know, situation. You either get the OTK, or you control your opponent going first and then you win the game, or you just don't win because your opponent opened a Book of Moon. You know, like, it's pretty sad when something like that ends up being the case. But the future for this deck is definitely there. There's a lot of potential for it. And even right now, investing into it, it's not half bad. Yes, I've been shitting on how bad the consistency of the deck is, but you can still win games. Like, I've actually gotten quite a long win streak with this deck on rank, because this is all I've been playing, trying to figure out the right odds. like the right number of cards, the right monster to play, the right spell and trap cards to play. I've been playing this deck like for the last 3 days. Like trust me, I've been trying to make a good deck to show off to you guys, and it's been hell. It's been so hell. There have been times where I win the game, then I go on a 7-game lose streak, then I change some things around, I go on a 9-game win spree, and then I ended up going like another like 5 win streak, no, 5 losses in a row. I changed the deck around to fix the issues. Like it has been the most interesting deck to deck build for, because there's just so many little intricacies in this deck to make it good, and you need to find that right balance to have a successful deck. And even though I do not think this is the right build, I do like it the most out of all the ones I built so far. If that were to make one change right here, right now, it'll be taking out Service for a Crusher, to be honest. Like, Crusher is actually pretty good. The only reason why I'm playing Service, like I mentioned before, it is actually an out to a lot of back row decks. You play against anybody and they have 2 sets, you can just normal summon a Service, and then they just can't activate anything. It's really, really good. Really fun to do. So then you go your turn uninterrupted, banish their monsters, and OTK. So yeah, he's really only here for that main play. But if I were to be a card I could switch right now, it'll definitely be Service for a Crusher. So yeah, I might give that back and forth a try, but for now, I'm just gonna keep it in. So in any case, that was all I wanted to talk about. So now let's get started with the games now. So let's get started. Alright, so it's gonna be time for our online duels here. But I'm not gonna actually do rank, because right now we are on the Kaba Corp and what's it called? The KC Cup, there we go. And I do want to do that as soon as possible. Obviously, I haven't actually played a single game for it yet. But so I do want to get that done as soon as possible. But I just wanted to quickly showcase just like my ranked duels real fast. Like for the last 10 matches, I ended up going 8 and 10. And this is with the Saxon build that I play, which is the one I feel more comfortable with showcasing at the moment. Very good deck, like I mentioned. So let's just go ahead and get started here with the KC Cup, because like I mentioned, I haven't done a single one yet. I have no online duel lock here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with this. Alright, so I'm gonna do 5 duels. Let's see if we're able to beat our opponent with this deck. Because I mentioned before, this deck could easily OTK, it could easily win games. It is just that whether or not your opponent has an out to your board, or if you open the right cards or whatever. Well, another thing to note, this deck has a pretty poor matchup against a lot of top tier decks. Like it loses to Desperado quite easily. Blue Eye is a hard matchup. And Noble Knights, if you open Book of Moon, is decent. Alright, so here's a bit of a break. I cannot do anything. I literally cannot do anything. The only thing I can do is literally set a card and pass turn. So yeah, this is my fault for playing Photon Service. And like I said, going third with this card is awful. But if I have Crusher, I could have gone to my combo at the very least. But I wouldn't be able to search the like any of the Photon cards, which is the sad thing about it. Alright, so now he set this, and he has Mountain. Oh, okay. This is definitely an interesting Blue Eyes deck. That's it? Okay. So if I were a guessing man, most likely a Regeki Break or a... What's the word I'm looking for? Or a... what's it called? Regeki Break or... What's that one other call again? Oh my god, I can't think of it. Or Karma Cut. So, we actually open godly now. We open really good. So, the first thing we want to do is... Let's see here. If this is a Regeki Break, we want to normal summon this guy first. Yes, we're going to normal summon Service first. Now he won't be able to activate the trap card. Now we activate Galaxy Cyclone to pop the back row. Yep, go ahead. Oh wait, it's not Bali. Alright, whatever, dude. Now we're going to special summon. Go ahead and grab our Galaxy. Where is it? There you are. Galaxy Eye, Photon Dragon. Very nice. Now we can special summon our Photon Advancer. Like I said, this combo is pretty nice, pretty easy to do. Now we're going to go ahead and go into our Galaxion. However, we are going to have to deal with this. So maybe not Galaxion. Let me think. Because I could go... I might still be the best play, to be honest. Yeah. I think Galaxion is still the best play. So I'm gonna go Galaxion. And then, because like this is going to be the standard play. Get 2 monsters, go into Galaxion, and then you're going to special summon the Galaxy Eyes from the deck. Because now that you search for it, you can just shuffle it back, add yourself a Photon Stream of Destruction, and then you can activate the effect of Galaxion, banish your 2. We'll do our 2 to summon, oops, wrong card. The Blue Eye, let's go. Alright, and this is gonna be a game. So here's gonna be the animation. Oh, look at this beautiful boy. I love this animation, guys. It is so good. Oh, love it. That felt good. Alright. So now we have this. Oh, we actually got a buff. We're going to have to bait this before we attack, because I want to be able to get her effect off, because I believe she can negate an attack, right? Yeah, you negate the attack. So I'm going to target her with a card effect. So we're going to do a Pokémon on her. She's gonna flip to face down. Yep, that's totally fine. He's gonna summon the Blue Eyes. Doesn't matter what Blue Eye he summoned. There's nothing he can do after this. We have Shield App OTK. Unless he has like a Sphere Karibo. But yeah, now that gets flipped face down. Now we activate Photon Stream of Destruction to banish the Blue Eyes. And then we could attack. And now here we just get OTK. We kill that. We attack directly. And we win. There we go. Alright. So you did kind of saw a bit of a power on Photon Service there. Like, yeah, I didn't negate any traps at all. But you can actually do that. If they set him card, you can just normal summon him and prevent any activation from activating. So it would have said like the full back row. He could not have done anything to prevent my board from happening. Unless he had a spell card, obviously. But in any case, so that was going to be game 1. Pretty good, actually. I mean, we're still on DL level 10, so I'm not expecting like the most competitive things out there. But let's go ahead and get started with our second duel. Hopefully we are able to show more of this deck. But, you know, consistency is very nice with this deck. You can always essentially pull that same play. I got lucky also because I break going first, but my opponent also seemed to either break or wasn't playing the most optimal build. But looks like here we both are going to level up. Let's see what ends up happening. Oh, so here's the thing you hate to see. You hate to see this card in your opening hand. You really, really do. So, first thing first, I do want to summon Photon Lizard because I want to search for Photon Thrasher. Because if this game ever goes beyond that turn 1, Photon Thrasher is definitely the best card to go into, or to search off of Photon Lizard. So here we're gonna activate my effect just because I can. Shuffle that Galaxy Eyes, search the Photon Stream of Destruction. We'll save this guy. No, we'll save this guy for later because this guy could actually be normal summoned. So we're gonna summon our Photon Vanisher. We won't activate the effect. It doesn't matter at all, to be honest. Next, we're going to exit into our Galaxion to go into our play that we did last game. Like, this is the same play you're always going to be doing. Really nice, but very predictable of what the player can do. Let's go ahead and ditch both. And then summon this guy. We'll summon him in defense. Mainly because we're going first and they're going to have to attack into it if they want to get rid of him. So we're going to set a card and end the turn. So in case we do top deck a Galaxy monster, we have a follow-up play at the very least. That's the beauty of opening multiple monsters. Alright. You can totally do that, I don't care. I'm not gonna banish anything until the fusions, but even then it's still not the best because he can activate, yeah, his fusion cards. Alright, you set a card. What are you gonna... Oh, wait, do he not have the spell? Huh. It's about to end his turn. Interesting. We're going to have to do it. One of these could be... We'll do. I have a good thing about this one. Yes, it was a good feeling. Summoner Overflow is a dangerous card. Oh, that's beautiful. Alright, we actually have some plays here. So we're going to switch this to attack. We'll switch to attack. We'll special summon this guy. See if anything activates here. Nothing activates here. We're going to attack. We'll attack this. Oh, there you go. I took out his only interruption, I think. And that is game. Alright. That was a lucky hit. Very good. Okay. So if he would have activated Cybernetic Horizon, he only would have taken one of our monsters, most likely Galaxy. Well, at that point, it would have mattered. He would have lost regard. No. Yeah. Galaxy would have not have made him lose the game. Because the issue with Advancer is that he could only get the buff if there's a Photon on the field. And Galaxion is not a Photon monster, so that's a bit of an issue. But in any case, we ended up winning that one. Pretty nice, actually. I like that a lot. Alright. Time to go for the next one. So that's 2 games in a row. We ended up winning both. Let's go! We're gonna go all 5 games, no losses. I'm looking forward to this. I hope that's the case. That will be the best case scenario. But even if I don't, like I mentioned, the weakness of the decks are present. So it really is up for whatever I draw. And it looks like I'm going second, which is really nice against a Sane deck. Photon transformation. I love that. Yeah, whatever. Alright, you do that, boy. He's gonna set a card. He's playing Photon. No, not Photon. What's the word I'm looking for? He's playing Galaxy Eyes, I'm sure. Oh no, this is not. Well, no, this is combo. This is definitely combo. So we're going to activate Galaxy Cyclone. I don't care what this is, as long as I get rid of it. Beautiful. Alright, so now we can do our play. So here's how we're gonna do this. We're going to normal summon this. We're going to special summon our Photon Advancer. Well, oh, he ended up quitting because he knew that was full combo. And, you know, Cyber Dragon decks, they hate going first. But in any case, there we go. We ended up winning another game. Pretty good so far. But I do have to say that Galaxy Ice Dragons, or deck, the Photon deck, is probably one of the better OTK decks of the format. Mainly because it can play going first and it can play going second. That's really strong for any OTK deck. Because a lot of them could only really go second. Unless they play some cheese cards like Fear Kuribo to save them from being OTK'd. And the likes. But at that point, you're making your deck more inconsistent. And the Photon deck already plays outs too. Or not outs, interruptions for going first. So it's actually a very strong contender for the KC Cup once we get to the second stage. To become like a very popular build. But for the meantime, you know, it's whatever. It really is. Like, it doesn't have the super high potential of other OTK decks, but it does have a really solid going first and going second. And another Sane. Oh my gosh. Am I going to be called the Sane Destroyer? Because it looks like I'm probably going to level up. Like, I have confidence like this deck just going to win through this one. Oh, I got the bricks. But I do ended up with a Galaxy Cyclone at the very least. And a Book of Moon. Pretty good stuff. What you gonna do, buddy? Alright, you get a core. Like, if I open a any Photon monster that is not Thrasher, I think I could easily win. Alright, you set in 2 cards. I'm sure one of them is a bluff. Okay, a few of them are bluffs. Let's think about this. Draw. Well, double Cyclone. I am not going to OTK, but I am at the very least going to destroy some cards. Alright, that's good. We'll do the middle one. What is it? Okay, double Storm. Alright, whatever, bro. Gosh dang it, that kind of sucks. That means that might be a good one. We'll special summon Thrasher. Oh my god, that was a good one, wasn't it? I have to set it. We'll have to attack. Alright, are you gonna activate? Nope. Okay. I'll end. Interesting, so I did ended up popping this guys. I don't know how many he plays. But like I did end up breaking there again, as you can see. If I don't get my combo off, I am very, very like, what's the word I'm looking? Vulnerable, I guess, to other things. Oh, there goes the cord effect. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Search the Cyber Dragon, I'm sure. Yeah. Or special summons the Cyber Dragon? From the deck. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. What are you gonna summon? The core, that's fine. It only gets the effect when it's normal summoned. Face up, right? Or face up on the field and or graveyard. Ugh. Does it destroy monsters or anything? That sucks. Might as well activate it. It's gonna get destroyed. Alright, there's that. Oh, heck yes! He couldn't do anything about that. Now, it depends whether if he has any fusions. Yeah, there they are. What was his other hand? He ended up searching his other spell. I don't remember. Yeah, because he got Overlord Fusion. I wonder what his last card in his hand is. Let's see if we can do anything. If we cannot do anything, I hope I can do something in my turn. If I get another Book of Moon, oh my gosh. We're gonna be on a top deck match here. Oh, okay. Awesome. Activate my skill. Watch this. We got game. We're going to shuffle back this. Get our Photon stream. We'll special summon this guy. I don't care about the effect. Now we're going to special summon Galaxion. Put this in attack. I don't care. Oh, this is so good. Now we'll activate our Galaction's effect. Oh, I'm so happy he didn't have any other play. Go ahead and do that. Go into Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Oh, beautiful. Look at that big boy. Then we'll activate. Oh, there you go. We ended up winning it. Heck yes. That feels so good. I mean, yeah, he ended up breaking a little bit, but that's totally fine with me. I don't care. I have no sympathy for Cyber Dragon's deck. There we go. We ended up winning against 3 Cyber Dragon decks in a row. Pretty good. Pretty nice. And that one was a bit different because I ended up breaking until like 2 turns in. But because that Book of Moon came in clutch, that was beautiful. Like I'm telling you guys, Book of Moon is actually really broken. It's actually really good in this game. Like at first I was thinking people were going to overhype it, but no, the hype is actually real. Book of Moon is an insanely good card right now. And if you haven't picked up your 3 copies, it's hard to recommend it because it does cost money, a lot of money. It is such a well worth card if you want to win in the ladder. So right now, we gotten 4 wins in a row against, and 3 of them were against Sane. Let's see what our last duel has for us. Are we going to be able to go on a 5-game winning streak? My first ever showcasing on any deck profile? Or am I going to fail on the last duel? So it's going to be against a Jaden Juki. This could be anything. Most likely a hero deck. It's my speculation. I mean, he has a hero mat. And I have a good hand. Actually, no, I have an awful hand. This is a brick. Literally a brick. Like I mentioned, 2 of these brick. Yo, did I open like Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon multiple times? Oh my gosh. Well, if he does not OTK me, I hope I could draw a good card. I was about to say this is a good hand, but no, it's not. Double Vanisher is awful. Okay, Polymerization. You better just activate this and pass. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, it's Lunalight. Alright, 3600 attack. Yeah, you get to search, right? And special summon. Yeah, there's a special there. Okay, that's fine with me. Ow. Alright. Come on. Give me a good card. Give me a good card. I could actually win this. Okay, that works. Okay, let me think about this. How am I going to win this? He doesn't have a target negate. This card cannot be targeted, correct? Yeah, cannot target this card with card effects. So this is going to be an issue. I cannot target it with card effects. I am at 6,000, but I think I have to target with this card, right? Okay, you can detect one extra material from this card. You get 500 attack, and if it does, one monster your opponent controls 1,000 attack. I could go into Utopia Ray, but I could not OTK. Oh, this is gonna be such a difficult thing to do. Yeah, because he has 3,400. I can't OTK. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're going to normal summon. We're going to special summon. Oh no, we were so close. We were so close. We could have actually killed this if it wasn't 3,400. I don't know what in his hands, so we could still win this if he has absolutely nothing left. Yeah, everything targets here. I have to go Utopia. Oh man, this is awful. Alright, so we're gonna go to Utopia. Utopia has the effective advantage, who cares? Because we're gonna go into Ray. There's Ray. Now we activate my effect. We'll do that. We'll activate Race again. It's not OTK like I was mentioning. But it is close to it at the very least. We'll set that just because we can. Yeah, we'll have to kill it. Get out of here. Oh man, that sucks for me. Alright, if he doesn't draw any fusions, I pretty much win. Because I don't think he can do anything else. He needs to hard draw the fusion at this point. Like if he does have the fusion, that's game, whatever, no big deal. If he doesn't have it, then I still have a chance of winning. Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. All I need is a Photon that's not... Oh, what is it? What is it? Oh, what did this do? A special summon in defense. Okay. Yeah, go for it. It's just a bluff anyways. Can you make anything? Oh, wait, fusion time. Wait, he had the polymerization? Oh, I lose. Literally, I lose. I did not know he had this. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I lose. Yeah, I'll just surrender. I don't want to stick around that. But no, like, yeah, that was a hard break on my end. If I wouldn't have break, it definitely would have been a lot better. Because he did not have the Lunalight fusion at all. And not having that Lunalight fusion means that I could probably survive. Since he's not going to be able to kill my Photon dragon. Like I said, if I didn't break it. Like, it's also a lot of ifs, you know. But regardless, I did at least at the very minimum ended up showcasing the Utopia Ray. Because it does randomly comes up, you know. It's really nice stuff. If he only had 400 less attack, I would have won, obviously. But it's whatever. It happens. But in any case, I did ended up going 4 and 5 in this showcase of the deck profile. And I do hope you guys enjoyed this duel. Would I recommend going into this box just to get the Photon cards? If you're a fan of the anime and Kite as a character, I say yes, go for it. This deck is fun. I love this deck. I think this deck is fantastic, especially for like newer players, because this is a very powerful card, a very powerful deck that you can just take and have success with because it's easy to learn. A lot of the cards are farmable, and you don't really need a lot of investment into it because you only need one Cyclone, one Galaxion, and everything else is like extra essentially, or at least 2 Thrashers and 2 Vanishers. So yeah, I do think the deck is fun, it's great, and I do hope you guys enjoy this video. This has been fun to showcase, and hopefully next time you guys stick around for another deck profile or another rant that I'll be having hopefully soon. Maybe you like other videos that I have on my channel, go ahead and check those out. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever you want to help my channel grow, because I am looking to grow my channel and better myself in making more content video. So in any case, again, I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.